Who is this super YouTuber? Is it Paul, the Joy Toy Collector? Andy, the Newcastle United fan? Jamie, the GoBot hater? Alexis, the salesman? Rohan, the man with the plan and the Wall of Fame? Might just be Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Oh, he's so fly, a groovy guy with a beard that just won't stop. When the bots get rough, he's super tough as third party cleans up. Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Hello everyone and welcome back to Magic Corner. Rohan Square. Do either of those work? Hello and welcome back to Rohan's Corner. Thank you to my friends on the show. And continuing the tanktastic theme we had last week with Star Toys Blitzwing, this week we have another tank baddie for you, the one and only Magic Square Brawl. So let's get straight into him, shall we? Okay, so starting off here with the box, as always, we have the lovely Magic Square G1 inspired design with the artwork here for Heavy Gunner Brawl and the warning, of course, on the front, Magic Square and ages 16 plus. On the side, we have more of the same. On the back, we have an alt mode alt mode picture in the desert. It's not particularly amazing. Looks like there's a space bridge there, but it's the wrong color. Text specs at the bottom, which is nice. Magic Square logo. On this side, we get Made in China and some warnings. On the bottom, more warnings, and on the top, just Magic Square. So let's open them up. And so inside the box, you get the instruction manual with his weapons, gun, and missiles, and missile launcher, carrier, and there's some small tiny little green piece here. I don't know what that's for. Two of them actually. Oh, they might be the lamps on the front of his tank. We shall find out. Or possibly even those bits that stick on the side of him. No, they're there. And of course you get the figure itself and the foot. So G1 inspired, not the IDW one. You get a nice green foot here. It's pretty much just one solid piece. There is some assembly on the bottom there, but other than that, you can't really see much going on. There's no articulation. And Brawl himself. So he looks and feels pretty good. Very Magic Square style of plastic. We've got some lovely detailing here on his leg, which obviously is more for the alt mode, but it does work well here in robot mode. Clean lines as you'd expect with Magic Square. No kibble, no sort of screw holes, not too many panel lines. Some nice detailing here around the chest and the little weapons, the little firing missiles or whatever they are on the sides of his torso here. The tank treads. Nice head sculpt there, looks G1-esque with the red popping through and the yellow, and of course his patented tank turret behind him. Side profile, got a few bits of gap here, which is not really like Magic Square. A few bits of squashed areas here and tabs here. I guess this is what happens when you get a combiner. And the tank tread protrudes a little bit, but not much. You can see some nice sculpted weaponry here on the back. Switch round to the back. And again, nice detail on the tank turret. It's not the cleanest looking Magic Square figure, but it's not bad. You can see the shoulders and the arms aren't bad at all. The legs a little bit more stuff on display, including this misaligned element here. These two little lamps here I briefly mentioned, they go on top of his tank in tank mode. He of course also comes with his Magic Square card, Heavy Gunner, and the tech specs on the back there. Exactly the same as in the box. Articulation is good, but I have to admit it's slightly more limited than we're used to with Magic Square. Obviously, you've got the ability to have a wrist swivel and a forearm swivel, but the shoulders are restricted because of the joints they've used, and the knees can bend quite far back, but can't go obviously any further forward. In terms of the legs and the thighs, they can move forwards but can't go back, can't go to the side, and there's a waist swivel and a waist elongation because of the transformation. In terms of feet, not really. His ankle rocker because of the transformation, but yeah, that's about it. So as you well know, normally I would like to do a comparison against all the other Brawls in my collection. However, I just have Generation 1 Brawl because I sold my RID Ruination, and I also didn't bother. Well, I sold my Energon Brawl and Bruticus set, and I didn't get the Combiner Wars set because I didn't like it, and we're still waiting for an updated version of War for Cybertron / Legacy type Brawl, and also Bruticus and the Combaticons. So this is the only comparison I can show you, but he does stack up quite nicely against the standard kind of Legends Plus figures. He's quite tall, actually. He stacks up quite nicely next to New Age Galvatron there, who's one of the taller Legends figures in my collection. Alright, transformation complete, and there we have Brawl in traditional Magic Square style. The transformation is complex and does require a lot of steps. Not only that, but I have heard complaints in the past about Magic Square's Stunticons being too simple. Well, this is definitely not too simple. The number of panels you have to flip out and the tabs you have to tab in, it reminds you of Gears and Hound and some of the other previously built Magic Square figures, but the result you cannot ever argue with. Now, in terms of a tank, obviously he has several accessories. He's got the tank turret itself, which does extend. When I extended mine, it pulled straight out. There is a little lip on it, so you can push it straight back in, and you can reattach it and then twist it so it won't come out again. His gun sits on top and can be moved left and right. Those two little lamps, you don't have to put them both in. I have, but yeah, it's up to you. And then obviously you have the large laser turrets that he uses in like one episode. I think it's The Revenge of Bruticus when they're fighting those gargoyles. And possibly also Starscream's Brigade when they capture Jazz and Cliff Jump, as he was known in that episode. But ultimately, let's take a look at him. He's got some nice molded treads on him. The finish is very clean, as always expected from Magic Square. They fold up everything and hide it out of the way so you don't see it. There is this one joint here, which you can see in a couple of very small tab openings for transformation. The molding of the weapons and all the other detailing is very nice. This piece here is solid and you can hold it from him. The back end isn't quite as neatly put together as you would expect with some Magic Square figures, but it is kind of hidden as well, and of course it will become the foot. So yeah, ultimately it's a very nice looking tank. You can of course move the turret around, you can swivel it up and down. It doesn't have any motion on itself. It's quite a tightly fitted figure, and doing the shoulders in transformation the first time did take me a little while, so you do need some patience. So vehicle mode comparison time, we do have him here with a host of other tankies, because why not? We have Generation 1 Blitzwing, we have MechFans Toys Blitzwing, we have thank you! Warpath, of course, the Kingdom version. I didn't bother bringing down G1. He's quite small and diddy and whatever. We've got G1 Brawl, and we have to make a comparison here and say the G1 Brawl has a slightly darker green on him. The washed out kind of green color is more camo appeal, I suppose, from Magic Square's Brawl, but ultimately I prefer the darker green, but it does the job. And then, of course, Star Toys Blitzwing, just because I've just done the review for him as well. And so, alt mode comparison with some other scales here for you. We've got the Masterpiece scale, KO, Fans Toys, Astra Train, who is massive, and Brawl still probably wouldn't be able to fit in the back of him. Masterpiece scale, Toy World B, who is much, much bigger and doesn't really scale up well. Brawl next to Magic Square's Hound is an interesting combo, because I feel like Brawl is taller and wider in both robot mode and also vehicle mode than Hound, which is kind of something I wouldn't have expected. I would have expected the combiner limbs to be slightly smaller maybe than the original cars, but then at the same time he is a tank. So New Age Outback here, that kind of scales quite nicely, I think, as a mini bot. I've got a Siege or Earthrise Micromaster here that kind of works, and then Velocitron Hauler, who is obviously much bigger. Right then, final thoughts on Magic Square Brawl. He is a cheeky little chappy. I would suggest that the robot mode is fantastic. I really like the detailing. It's got everything you need. It's got enough articulation, and it's a very good homage to a G1 Brawl, the best one we've had, in my opinion. The alt mode is decent. It's not quite there. I would have liked the paintwork to be slightly darker green, but it's pretty in keeping with the camo tank. The price point is quite significant. $42 is almost a 20 or 30% increase on the price that we were paying for the Constructicons, who were packed 2 per box, about $33, $32, and the Stunticons, who were obviously a little bit more simple than the combiners that we're getting these days from Magic Square. So, you know, you make up your mind. If we consider that the majority of Magic Square figures are now hitting the deluxe type figures, are now hitting the $40, $45 bracket, is it still a cheap game anymore? I mean, even Mech Fans Toys will probably be bumping their prices up to $30, $35 soon, I guess. So I guess in that respect, it's still cheaper than New Age, and it's still a fabulous product. Yes, it has its inherent tabbing and folding issues that come with Magic Square, but if you've got the patience and you follow the instructions well, you'll get there. And there's some ingenuity in this figure too. So I give him a 7.5 out of 10. He's a great hit for me, but obviously I'm looking forward to seeing the combined Bruticus mode most of all. Right, and before I sign off and say goodbye, it is of course time for the next installment of Dinobot War. When we left you, we had made the decision to try and creep down to the saucer, turning to page 67. That was courtesy of most of you. You clamber over the edge of the rock shelf and quietly make your way down to the floor of the cavern. Moving on tiptoes, you approach the open door of the saucer. The 2 aliens are hard at work taking their readings from their instruments and do not see you. You glance up at the shadows. Even though you know where Ravage is hiding, it is very difficult to see him in the dim light. You reach the saucer and dart inside. Still unnoticed, it does not take you long to find the metal sphere that brought you back in time. You only have to turn the dial on the side and you will be returned to your own time. You're about to do it, but then a thought crosses your mind. If you leave Ravage and Laserbeak here, they may outwit the Dinobots and succeed in reaching the Ark. You cannot allow that. Running to the door, you start yelling, "Come on, Decepticons, come and get me!" The 2 little aliens look up in surprise and begin to jabber at you. Then they see Ravage and Laserbeak rushing furiously towards you and pass out in a dead faint. "Prepare to die, humans!" snarls Ravage as he reaches you. "Not just yet," you reply, twisting the dial on the time sphere. Turn to page 69. You are ready for the time travel on this occasion. Although it makes you giddy, you do not pass out. You see Laserbeak and Ravage moving through a swirl of color all around you. It is as though the 3 of you are being swept along the rainbow-colored whirlwind. At last, the lights fade and you re-materialize in the Wizard's Cave in Disneyland. There is no sign of the 2 Decepticons now. Either they slipped away very quickly, or else they have gotten lost forever in the space-time continuum, if only. A scientist steps forward and takes the time sphere out of your hand. "You shouldn't play with that, kid," he snaps. "Who knows what it might do?" You smile at him sheepishly. He may not know, but you do. Turn to page 71. You have managed to return to the present day, but you have a lot of explaining to do. Will anyone believe your story? Do you believe it yourself? The end. Well, I hope you've enjoyed Dinobot War over those many weeks, and I hope you've enjoyed this through the generations review of Magic Square's Brawl. Anywho, I will see you all probably not next week, because that will be Transformers the Show coming live from TFUK Con. Hopefully the week after that. Anywho, back to the studio.
Transformers, Rohans in disguise.